everyone. Welcome to our March 19th Mornings with Mayesh show. I am Yvonne. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Mayesh, and I am here today with Shelley Anders and Dave Taggy to answer your flower questions. Love doing this show. I get to meet people as I travel and just meet everyone that does watch the show. So I just wanted to thank you. I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes to come on in and just say hello and where you're from. That would be great. Hi, guys, and hi, Penny. Penny is one of our viewers that joins us pretty much every single time, so we appreciate people like Penny. Thank you. Good morning, Tanya. While people are coming in and saying good morning, I just wanted to mention that we have Desi in our control room. Good morning, Desi. She's going to be posting our links for us and just kind of helping us stay all organized, and hopefully the show goes smoothly. Speaking of, I do want to bring up that it is raining today here in sunny South Florida, and my electricity has been flickering. It's done it 3 times. It hasn't officially gone out. So if this show does happen to go down, I promise I will be on as soon as the electricity goes back. But because the account is through me, there's a possibility that the whole show will stop. So if that happens, I promise we will be back on as quickly as my electricity goes back on, which will hopefully be immediately. Okay, so that's out of the way. So keep on saying good morning. Hi, Herman. Good morning, Jamie from Portland. Leah from Memphis. Good morning, guys. I have another Jamie from, hold on, just moved, Adrian, Michigan. And we have Jennifer Bleakley. She's saying good morning, Yvonne and crew. Again, she's one of our lovely people that is with us every single Mornings with me. Thank you so much. So keep Lucy from the UK. Hey, Lucy. I love it when people are coming in and watching from all different parts of the world. That's just amazing to me. I love social media because of that. So as we're going through the show, if you have any questions while we're talking, we will try our best to answer them. You go ahead and post them in the comments below. And also, while we're at it, if you can, while we're watching, just on our Facebook page, say that you want to be notified anytime we go live. That would be awesome as well. I think there's a little bell or something you can say, I want to be notified. And that way you'll never miss a show when we go live if you're on Facebook. All right, guys. I also wanted to let you know that today's show is brought to you by our Mayesh Design Star Flower Workshop Tour. Yay! We have 3 dates left for 2019. We have a date coming up in May 20th and 21st after Mother's Day. It's an all-levels class in Nashville. We'll be hitting up Austin in August with the master class. And in November, we will be finishing up in Columbus, Ohio with an all-levels class. I do want to make mention that my website is on WordPress, and it recently had a big change on the back end of things, and it kind of broke a few things. One of those things is being our ticket sales. So you might go on and try and buy a ticket, and it is broken right now. I am working on getting that fixed, hopefully in the next couple of days, but I have to rely on outside resources to get that done. I am very, very sorry that this is happening. It's very frustrating, and as soon as it is fixed and ready to go, I will definitely let you guys know. I'll let the world know, I promise. But we will share the link so that way you can check that out. We have Jennifer from Chicago. Good morning. Penny said she shared it. Thank you, Penny, for sharing our video. Love it. I also wanted to talk quickly about Quito. We had a workshop there, not last week, but the week before. My team was there. Shelley came with us. We had Holly, Sue, and Veronica, 2 amazing designers who did workshop. We did a farm tour, and we also went to Old Town Quito, and we played tourists for a little bit. But anyhow, it was truly magical. I knew it would be, right? How could it not be? But honestly, so many things could have gone wrong because we were importing a lot of things into Ecuador for the show, a lot of our supplies and some flowers from Holland. We obviously had beautiful roses and summer flowers from the Ecuadorian area. But it turned out to be magical. The people were amazing. The Hacienda Cuisine, if you just want a vacation, Hacienda Cuisine is freaking amazing. The food was awesome. The rooms were so cute. We had fireplaces, and they're not fancy rooms by any means, but they're comfortable and cozy, and just the people and the atmosphere is just to die for. So check them out. Even if you don't want to come with me on a workshop, that's okay. But definitely check out Hacienda Cuisine, and wait until you see the images that I get from Nicole. We posted some for Instagram, but I'm a big believer in the pros. So we brought Nicole Clary to take photos. We brought Logan from Tailwind Visuals to do the storytelling video piece of it. So when those things come out, you guys are going to die. Absolutely die. So anyhow, I'm bringing this up because it did sell out, and I think, are going to continue to do this. We have 2 more years. We're already starting to plan right now. So hopefully in the next little bit, I will have more details for 2020. Can you believe we're talking about 2020? It's going to be, I think, a very popular destination, and I'm pretty sure that it will sell out very, very quickly. Not to mention, many of the people that went to Quito want to do this next trip with us, and they definitely have the inside scoop because they got to hang out with me and my team for a whole entire week. So we definitely had a lot of bonding and talking about the next trip that we're going to be planning. So if you want to go, you will need to be on our wait list, because we are going to send out the official details to our students, our past students, and then we'll send it out to the wait list, and then I will send it out to the world. So again, we'll probably only have like 20 to 24 spots, and you don't want to miss it because it will be amazing if you're able to go. Penny says, I'm doing another show at Hacienda here. Oh, very cool. Yeah, so fun. I love it. Okay. Also, I want to make sure that you mark your guys' calendars for our next shows. So April 2nd, I have my special guest, Alison Ellis. She's going to be on with me talking about pricing. She has a bunch of questions from her last live price talk that she did, which was really cool. So she's going to talk about those questions that she didn't get to, and then answer your guys' questions as well. So I'll send something out specifically for her to get your guys' questions. But if you guys do have questions in the comments, maybe just write Alison, so that way I know you want her to answer those questions. Cool? All right. And then also mark your calendars for April 16th. And that will be our regular schedule show with Dave and Shelley. All right, guys, so let me bring on Dave and Shelley, and we will get started. Hi, Dave. Hi, Shelley.
Good morning, Yvonne. How are you?
I am good. Thank you. I'm good because my electricity's still on, so that makes me happy. Yes. And Shelley, I couldn't hear you just that second. No, I can't hear you. I know. Wait, for some reason, I don't know. We have issues with Shelley's things. No, I can't hear you. So maybe, sorry guys, maybe do a refresh. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do about this. We always have technical difficulties. All right, so she's going to figure that out. While Shelley is figuring that out, guys, we are going to have Dave show you some pretty flowers. So, Dave, what did you bring today to show us?
Yeah, I brought a few things. Pieris is just starting in Oregon, and consequently, it's also happening in Holland. So this is the Dutch, if I can get it out of the bucket here. And it's looking pretty amazing right now.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, hey, Shelley.
Hi, sorry.
No, it's all good. So this is the Dutch Pieris. It's gorgeous, full of blooms. Oregon is, like I just said, just starting. So we've got a little bit of pink in this week. And that is going to be hot right now. So grab it while it's here.
Yeah, people go crazy over the Paris when it starts.
So pretty.
Yeah, it's too bad it's not available year-round. Here's an oddity that we're getting from South America. This is Chilean ground snowberry, and it is gorgeous right now.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So thank you, South America, for growing some of this novelty stuff for us. We're going to talk about anemones during the show today, but these caught my eye this morning. These are some doubles that are California grown, and they're just amazing. All those petals in there.
Those are so cool. I don't think I've ever seen double anemones.
Those are from our local guy here near Carlsbad.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Kellie.
We decided to share.
I like to know the origin of my stuff too, which is cool. Here's some Japanese Astilbe, and this is dyed, and I am told that they actually inject the dye into the soil and that the plant takes the dye through the roots. For whatever reason, it does not dye the foliage, just the bloom heads. But isn't that a cool navy blue color?
Very cool.
So many dyed flowers now. And, you know, a few years ago, I was so not into them. And it's kind of hard to not fall in love with this little trend that's going on.
They're fun.
Last but not least, tulips. It's spring. The Dutch grow a whole bunch of really cool stuff. This one has been in our cooler the last few weeks. And although it is extremely pricey, it's moving very well. This is called Leo.
So cool.
It's a fringe, but it's a fringe on steroids. I don't know if you can actually see how crazy cool that is.
They look like flames.
Yeah, they do exactly look like flames. They're just so vibrant and pretty. So many tulips right now, guys. They're popping in Holland, so get them while they're hot. That's all I got today.
Thanks, Dave.
So pretty. Well, it is spring and it's daffodil season. So one of my favorite times of the year. So I've got some daffodils to show you guys. This is a very beautiful variety. If you can see that, it has a white with a pink center. Really pretty novelty daffodil. Great for wedding work. I'm sorry, I think this is, I forgot the name of it. It's not Johann Strauss because that one's the one with the orange, but I'll find out the name of it.
I want to say Pink Perfection.
Oh, Pink Charm, maybe.
Pink Charm? Okay.
Pink Charm. Thank you, Lisa. Your standard, beautiful garden variety daffodils. Ours are so luscious right now. And the doubles, the double bloom ones, they're so pretty.
Oh, I love it.
And then there's the Narcissus style varieties of the little mini ones. See those?
So cute.
They're cute. and then the white, which normally we see around Christmas time, the paper whites, they're forced, but really pretty for spring. I love them. Because it's spring, I thought I'd showcase some classic spring flowers. These are forget-me-nots. Beautiful, pretty blue. Everyone's favorite lily of the valley.
Wow.
So beautiful. That's my birth flower, by the way.
Lovely.
We've been showing a lot of the dyed sweet peas, but there's just the classic, beautiful, regular sweet peas. These are also Japanese. We haven't gotten a lot of local ones yet, but they're just so precious and so pretty for this time of year. And then this is locally grown pennycress. So when you get this from Holland, it's quite expensive, but here we're getting it in right now, and it's very pretty, and it kind of will bloom out little white flowers. This is a nice filler to use. It's not really a greenery, it's a flower, or sort of a cross between, I guess. It's very pretty. And then one dramatic thing to show you. We have some really beautiful giant Nerone Clooney ranunculus. They're so dark, I don't know if you can see them on the screen.
Yeah, I can see them.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, looks good.
So it's that time of year for gorgeous ranunculus, anemones, spring flowers, daffodils, tulips, and all those fun things. We're really excited for all the stuff coming in right now.
Thanks, Shelley. And we just recently published a new Flower 411. So if you want updates directly from our Mayesh purchasing department, which they know what's going on in the world of flowers because that's their job, and they're good at it. So check that out. We'll post the link for that so you guys can go and see our March flower 411. And now it's time for our first question. It comes from Jen and Jesse, and I feel like we can talk about this next couple of shows. But I wanted to see what you guys are seeing in terms of trends for the new year. And Dave and Shelley, before you talk about what you're seeing, I'd love for everyone else that's watching to let us know what you guys are seeing in your neck of the woods as well. Because while there's, I feel like some national things going on, there's always different things happening in everyone's different regions. So Dave, Shelley, what are you guys seeing right now?
Yeah, Papa's grass ceremony circles seem to be all over IG right now, as well as the bleached and preserved foliages and fillers. So those things are everywhere. I know we've been featuring these at all of our locations, but the earth tone dyed brownies, these are the anemones, but we've got tulips and a bunch of other stuff that they're dyeing right now, have just really blown up as far as a trend. And like I said, dyed flowers, who knew? But here they are.
Yeah.
The dried trend is really big here in California. The boho wedding look here, the Joshua tree look, all the textures and fillers and things that you see with drieds have been still going strong. And this year has been, I think, the epic of that with the drieds. California tends to set the trends for the rest of the United States, so you may not see that progressing over the country until maybe next year, but they're going strong here. I also am seeing a lot more color. I know when we were in Quito at the workshop, Sue and Holly did vibrant colors. This year coral's the Pantone color of the year, but I really felt like they did a really great job showcasing that. And I think people are going to start moving away from so much nude and natural. I mean, that's still going to always be popular and probably the most requested for brides. But once you start seeing that color hit this year, you'll see it next year in trends even bigger. I think people are getting tired of seeing the same palette all the time. So citrusy, bright, tropical, fruity tones, and tropical foliage is used more. A mixture of exotic and tropical flowers with standard garden style flowers too. That sort of tropical Hawaiian sort of feel will kind of come on as well. So those are the things we're seeing here.
Yeah, and I definitely want to second the tropical theme. I'm seeing it showing up even in like design of interiors and things like that, like Monstera wallpapers and pillows and things like that. So, and then I just saw on like a Facebook group a groom walking down the aisle in a tropical printed suit. So that's a lot for me, but there are brides and grooms out there that love it and take it to that level. So
I think people are looking for just out of the box ideas now. I mean, we've been so aesthetically tasteful and beautiful for so long. I think people want to see kind of shocking things or brighter colors or things that they just don't fit the wedding mold anymore. We see that with like Birch Floral doing some crazy colors and things. And I think that's going to hit in the next 2 years. We're going to kind of move away from this pretty aesthetic.
Yeah. And we have a big designer that comes down to the Miami area. He's from New York, and he's been here for a couple weeks now. And he did a huge event, and my husband went foraging for him and just got a bunch of dead palm fronds and just
weird. Yep.
And he used that, and it looked friggin' amazing. So the tropical kind of big patterns, the bright colors and strong lines is definitely a thing now. So definitely.
Yeah, we have a lot of people asking us to dry palm and palmetto fronds right now. It's pretty interesting.
And luckily around here, they're pretty easy to find because they're just drop dead all over your yard. So just gotta cut them down.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Jen and Jesse, I love that question. It's definitely one of my favorite questions for the show. And with that, if you want a mug, make sure you send me your, thanks, Dave. If you want that mug, that super cute Mornings with Mayesh mug, shoot me over your address and we'll send you one. So thanks, Jen and Jesse. Okay, our next question comes from Yasmin. She says, what's a good dusty blush rose? Guys.
There are quite a few varieties and varying gradients of blush to light pink. I'll list a few of my favorites, and then Shelley, you can kick in. There's Esther, Nina, Jessica, Faith, Pink Mondial, and Sweet Aikido. Those are all standard roses. In garden roses, Kira, Pink O'Hara, White O'Hara, Charity, Sumugi, and Wedding Spirit are some of the really nice, blushy, kind of dusty pink tones. In spray roses, you're a little bit more limited. There's Star Blush, Sweet Sensation, and a new one we've been carrying here. It's not really a new variety, but new for our market is Royal Porcelina, which is really pretty light, blushy pink.
Yeah, for dusty rose is a hard one too, because it's not always a lighter pink. It's kind of a mid-tone pink. So you can think of like a Geraldine or a Romantic Antique. There's also Modular Perlas. I like those. Sweet Eskimo. So it's and there's one that we saw when we were down at Green Rose. I don't know if it was Hot Carpe Diem or can't remember the name of it. I'll look it up and put it on our list. But I thought, wow, that's a good dusty blush or dusty rose, because dusty rose can be kind of hard with the. I think that's what the designer's asking. Sometimes it's a little hard to find that good mid-tone pink that's not Barbie pink, not pastel pink, not baby pink, not
right.
Yeah, but those are some of my favorites.
You can look on your hand.
Oh yeah, I have that.
Green Rose card thing, which I really think this is cool, guys. Do you see this? So this is from, we did go visit Green Rose, which was amazing, by the way. You guys really missed out. But they gave everyone these, they're like paint chips, but with roses on them. So it was pretty cool. So we can check that out for you while we're talking. I wouldn't know what to look for, so I'll let Shelley do that. It would take me probably forever to figure it out. Let's see. Penny, I just wanted to put this up here. Penny Stone says there's a Lisianthus that's spot on for a dusty rose color.
Yeah, there is.
You know the name of that by any chance?
I don't know the name of that variety, but it is like a true dusty rose. Kind of can be, some people will call dusty rose mauve too. Mauve, dusty rose kind of have the, mauve has a little more purple undertone. Dusty rose is a little more red undertone.
Right.
But yeah, there is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
It's an elusive color.
And then, of course, hi, Brad. Brad just was celebrating his birthday, so happy birthday, Bradley.
Hi, Bradley.
And if you guys don't know, he's from Design Master, and he said Just for Flowers can help shift and blend when you're in a pinch. Shameless plug. I like shameless plugs, though. It's all good. That's why you're up here. Thank you, Brad. Thanks for tuning in, too. Tanya says, how do I get one? You want one of these bad boys, I'm assuming. I don't know. I'll talk to Green Rose and see if I can get some of these, and maybe I then can give them away as well. So I think that would be kind of cool, because I feel like people would love these. But I'm imagining that these are pretty pricey to produce. So I probably can't get a ton of them, but I will see what I can do. Sound good? All right. Let me see. Okay. Oh, how do I get one? That's there we go. All right, time to and before I move on to the next question, we do have a really cool rose guide for you guys, and Desi put the link in the comments below, so you guys can check that out, and I will put that on the screen too, just so you guys can see. You go to info.mayesh.com and then /rose-guide. You guys can check that out. Cool beans. All right, moving on. And let's see.
Hi, Nancy. Nancy's in our comments.
Hi, Nancy. Nancy's here with us. We love Nancy. She's so sweet. And her hubby. Okay, Charlotte wants to know which months are best for anemones.
So anemones are grown all over the world and are readily available almost all year round, with the exception of July and August when the production dips really low. So I had a great thought. We're carrying these micro Gerberas, and they're coming out of Canada right now. You can't get a true blue or purple like an anemone, but they do come in an array of other colors, and they're about the same size with the little black center. Yeah, they're adorable. I mean, look at how small those are. They're tiny. You could do a boutonniere out of that. They're just adorbs. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up as a possible sub for an anemone.
Yeah, anemones are a spring flower, so they're available from naturally from December on through this time of year. We have local growers right now growing the most beautiful anemones. They're huge. So I should have actually showed you guys some anemones, but we have really pretty anemones right now. So it's this time of year. You can get them year round, but just remember they're going to be itty bitty and not always the nicest. So, yeah.
Good to know, guys. Our next question is from Penny. She wants to know about White King Protea. They're very, very expensive wholesale, and she wanted to know if there's any alternatives for this fabulous bloom.
Yeah, there's nothing as cool on Earth as a White King Protea. That's true. But subbing for those are really difficult. When in season, this white kale is a really good sub. It takes up a lot of space, like a King Protea. But this isn't available year-round either. So we're starting to import all these bleached flowers and foliages from Holland, and one of the ways that you can make a great impression would be with some of that as an alternative. There's palm leaves, poppy pods, amaranthus. They're doing all the bleaching with, so you could get a similar effect.
Good to know. Shelley, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, you can also use Queen Protea when the king are not in season. You can tint them with our favorite design master and kind of recreate that look. There's also white owl, white mink Proteas. If your bride just wants something that's kind of big and showy and textural and is interesting looking like a Protea. You can also find artificial ones if you really have to have it and they're out of season. An artificial flower, a well-made artificial flower tucked in with fresh product is sometimes virtually impossible to tell. It's not the real thing. And you can also take dried Protea that you've dried and take the petals off and actually add it to an artificial to recreate the texture of it. So you got to get creative sometimes. The true season for King Proteas, I believe, is January, believe it or not. But they're very hard to get, and they're very limited. So it's not even when we do get them, we only get a handful per branch. It's not like you can order 100 White King Proteas and have them. It's difficult. So they're hard to get sometimes.
Yeah, and I think this would be the reason why. They are expensive and hard to get because they take 2 years to produce one bloom.
Yeah. One plant takes 2 years to produce. Yeah, that's right, Sylvia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Sylvia. That's crazy to me. It really, and going back, I'm still stuck in keto. My head is still there. But just, learning and hearing, as wholesalers, we do get to learn about the growing process probably a little bit more than other people. But it's just still amazing to see the people and the time and the effort it takes to create one bloom of anything, and just a rose and what they go through, and going to Valley Floor and them talking about their breeding process and how many varieties they go through to find like the next new best thing that they want to produce for you guys. So it's always mind-boggling to me, and people kind of forget that when we're in our day-to-day. So
yeah, I have a total new appreciation I already did appreciate, but just seeing how these growers are producing and growing product for us, and the lengths they go to, and how many hands pass just to produce one flower. It's really an amazing process that we should respect.
Yeah. And it's not like this automated thing. I feel like with Siri and Alexa and everything's so automated and it's done immediately. That's not our industry. The people are planting these things by hand and picking them by hand, and there's experts for each individual variety so that way they know how to cut it and get it done quickly. Everything's done by hand. So it's again just really amazing artisan community that we were very lucky to be a part of.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Our next question is from Jill. She says, I have a bride in this summer looking for acrylic paints using Monstera leaves, but again, they're expensive. Can you suggest an alternative?
I brought some Aurelia leaf. It doesn't come in size that's quite as large as the bigger Monstera, but I mean, you could fill up some space with that. There's a lot of other tropical options, but they're going to have a different shape and a different, look. Like Birds of Paradise leaves, for instance, they're taller and linear, as is hollow leaf. We import these from places like Costa Rica and Hawaii, so unless you have a secret local source for Monstera leaves, there's a lot of freight costs involved in shipping them to us. Another option would be, circling back to what Shelley just said, would be to invest in some artificial Monstera leaves that you can reuse over and over again.
Yeah, you can even custom paint artificial product to get a more realistic look. If they look a little flat, you can touch them with acrylic paint. And a lot of people are even just straight painting them anyway, solid white or gold or whatever. And once you paint something, it's very hard to tell whether it's real or not. But yeah, Dave's suggestions are great. Aurelia is wonderful to use as well. It doesn't quite have the same pow as Monstera. So you just have to start, I think when brides want that kind of stuff, you just have to explain to them that's why it looks so amazing. And that's why it costs as much as it does, because it is an unusual plant. So unusual to get as well, and slow growing.
Yeah. Or you can move down to somewhere like here where they'll grow in your backyard.
And California grows pretty well. I've had luck growing them in pots, so if you can do that, but it takes a while to get them big, those big leaves, those big daddies. But yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay, Kirsten Gordon says, a question I would like to talk about is what flowers can be obtained in America that are good choices for spring, summer, and fall weddings. And if we choose 2 or 3 focus flowers, how we would mix these and more commonly known flowers like hydrangea and roses. In other words, how do we best play up the seasons or the stars of each season?
Pick up the phone, call us, talk to us. We're always excited to tell you what's hot in our coolers.
Yes.
There's so many options, it's mind-boggling and impossible to list all the combinations here. Best advice, check out our 12-month flower availability list. Try to plan around what we have listed. My disclaimer would be always double check with your sales rep closer to your event in case there's problems with production of a particular item. Things do unexpectedly come and go out of season sometimes.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, if you stick with your season, like California grows a lot of local product, tulips, anemones, ranunculus, all those spring and summer flowers. We have dahlias in the summertime and through the late fall. So it's focus on those items to showcase your spring, and then you can mix with other more common flowers. It's kind of a melting pot right now of all different kinds of design styles anyway. So if you want to look springy, then you want to choose classic spring flowers like we just showed you. So summer flowers are more like dahlias, roses, gladiolas are even a summer flower. So look at what kind of overall style you're trying to do, then mix those other flowers in to give you some balance and keep your costs down.
Yeah, good advice. And our flower guide is awesome. It is our availability list put together in one handy dandy guide. But as Dave said, and just like with our flower library that's available or any other resource that anyone else provides, all that has to be taken with a grain of salt, because we're dealing with Mother Nature, we're dealing with logistics and all of that crazy stuff. So it really affects what the actual date is going to be for your real event date. All right, guys. Good stuff though, Kristen. Thank you for the question. And you have another question. She said, I would like to hear about different types of garland that we make and different options. She has a lot of brides asking about using greenery because they either want that look or perceive that it is cheaper than using flowers. Need to go past the basic eucalyptus garlands. Guys, what do you got to say?
Yeah, garlands are a fantastic way to make a statement for any event, but they're extremely labor intensive, and even with the most frugal selection of foliage, they're still not really cheap to fabricate. To cut your costs, you can start with something big and bulky yet affordable, lemon leaf or silver dollar uke, or anything that's cheap and in season, and then add bits of textural interest later with some more expensive greens. I can tell you from personal experience, from hand wiring with paddle wire and string, making garlands can be a lesson in humility. If they're not fabricated correctly, they will fail and they gap in sections, which makes them extremely difficult to repair at a moment's notice when you're doing an installation. So having Mayesh manufacture your garlands by one of our experienced garland machine operators will provide you a super strong, reliable base. Shameless plug.
Love shameless plugs. Yes. And so Ryan says, does Mayesh do pre-built garlands? I should know this.
Absolutely.
Hi, Ryan, by the way, from Curate. We love Curate and we love Ryan. Yes, we do produce garlands, custom garlands based off of request. And that will be another guide that I'm working on with my team. It's in our funnel of things that we need to get done for you guys. So we'll definitely get more information out. But is there anything else that you guys wanted to, like, how does that work? Like, do you guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Shelley.
Well, we have someone make them in-house for us, and then also our Riverside location custom makes them for all of our branches. And I don't know why brides think that garlands are cheap to do. They always think that's a cheaper option, and it's not. They're labor intensive to make. They take a lot of product. So it's up to you as a florist to let people know that that's actually not an inexpensive option. It can give you a different look than doing a floral, but then by the time you add flowers to a garland, which most brides also ask for, can be quite expensive to do. And it's labor intensive, like Dave said, to make the garlands, then have to add flowers to them and do all that. And there's really not a cheap option. You can make garlands out of any greenery. Pretty much. There's some that are going to be more tender and go down faster. Another option is just, if you need to do it inexpensively, is just to lay greenery down the center of a table to give a garland effect, and that takes less product, but that's still labor intensive to do that as well. So yeah. But yeah, you can order them from our branches.
Yep. And then I love, again, Huntress Florals saying, we only made our own garland once. And then after that, they ordered it.
It's a lot of work. It takes time to do. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Time and money. Gotta love it. Okay, so Monica, moving on to the next question. She says, how is the floral industry evolving and working to keep up with the standards of improved environmental and health impact through our products, supplies, and cut flowers? In other words, what changes are being made to reduce health risks of working with commercially grown cut flowers and supplies like foam, etc.?
There have been many positive strides in the global floral community over the past 30 years to improve agricultural sustainability. At Mayesh, we do our own little part by purchasing from Veriflora, Flora Verde, and Rainforest Alliance certified farms. These farms follow strict guidelines for sustainable agricultural production. Some of these practices include biological pest control, composting, water reclamation, safe storage, and education on handling the chemicals, proper land management that supports healthy regional habitat. Sustainability also ensures growers adhere to fair labor practices for their employees, which provide better wages, a safer workplace, and resources like medical and daycare.
Yeah, things have changed quite a bit over the last 20 to 30 years. You guys know I'm a big proponent of having as much of a low carbon footprint for our industry as possible. We were very excited when we visited Green Rose and how their practices fall in line with that. Their farm was impeccable. Their employees were well treated. It was a really great experience. It was a good experience for all of our florists that went to see how the changes have been made, and that this provides income and a livelihood for these people in Ecuador that before didn't really make very much money, or the farms didn't really take care of them like they should have. That has changed a lot. And I was really pleased. I think we all kind of had a really good experience there with that. And I think as a florist, there's a lot of things you can do. Composting your product is one thing instead of just throwing it out in the trash. Recycling all your cardboard, plastic, brads, rubber bands, anything that comes in your packaging, make sure that you're separating and recycling that properly. I'm a big fan of using chicken wire or poultry wire, or Florist Oasis net, instead of using Oasis, or I should say floral foam. If you can use less floral foam, that's always better as well. It's not always necessary to use that. It's got its uses, but there's ways that you can use less of that. I teach that in my classes. Recycling, or using upcycled containers, repurposing containers, using things that you can get back and reuse again. Those are all very important things you can do. And using plants and materials that can be repurposed for the bride or your customer in arrangements, that's always nice. So there's a lot of things that you can do to be more environmentally friendly. But I think the floral industry is finally taking notice that you as consumers are talking about this, and this is important to you now.
Yeah. And going back to Green Rose too, they provide a lot of jobs for women where, other companies don't traditionally hire women in South America. So that was cool. And then they just installed a really cool water system to help recycle all of their water. And
yeah, that was cool.
Did you get to hear about that?
Yeah.
I was kind of on the outside. Did you want to talk like 2 seconds about that?
They had a huge pond that they have a facility where they're taking their water and they're recycling and reusing it to water their farm, which is amazing. So they're cleaning up their own waste that they're using and reusing it there at the farm level. And they're taking those steps. It's not something that they were required to do, I believe. I think that was something that they decided to do to be more environmentally friendly. Yeah. It was very nice to see that.
Yeah.
We've all heard these horror stories about, the South American farms and how their employees are treated and the pesticides and all that. And yes, there are still pesticides being used. Unfortunately, American consumers want blemish-free product. And an organic product is an ugly product. If you look at organic apples or flowers that are grown, we have American grown flowers too. They're not perfectly grown because we have this level that we want our product to look. You want a perfectly shiny apple, that is not organic. So we have to sort of lessen our expectation of what we want out of the product. I think if you don't want it blemish free, you're going to have to use these pesticides and chemicals to keep that from happening. So, but they're doing a lot to help that, and I was very pleased to see that as well.
Yeah. If you don't mind bug bites and oddly shaped things and stuff like that, then
that's nature, folks.
Yeah. And there are designers that love that. Like Christy's one of those designers where she if something came in and there was, and it was organic and there's bug bites on it, she was all about it. She's like, it makes it look like it's from my garden. I like that look.
It's natural. Yeah, it's natural. But we are sometimes a hermetically sealed people, and we want everything perfect and pristine. So flowers are not. And, if you grow your own flowers, how there's something charming about a rose petal that has a little hole in it where a little, whatever chewed through its leaf. It's just charming.
Penny has a question on here, says, does anyone use frogs anymore? And yes, people do use frogs. Veronica, who is our other designer on Perquito and does a lot of Spanish videos, she has like a whole collection of frogs, and we gave frogs to all of our attendees too. And we have done, Kellie last year did a design video using a flower frog. So she loves frogs as well. So everyone else that's watching, do you guys use frogs? And then Shelley, did you want to talk a little bit about that? I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, frogs are wonderful to use, and we've talked about them on the show before. They are an expense for a lot of florists, so some people shy away from using them. But if you say you have a client that you always do her weekly arrangement for, you could use a flower frog in conjunction with chicken wire. Both those things are great for an armature in your design, and you get that back and recycle it every week instead of throwing out a block of Oasis every week. So it's a wonderful product to use. They're very easy to use, and they're not hard. I think one thing most florists don't know, they need to use Stickum, the floral clay, to attach it to the bottom of the container. If you're using the same container over and over again. But for weddings and things like that, they can be a little cost prohibitive and sometimes not necessary. But they're wonderful to use. I use them all the time. I collect them, actually. I have an old collection of them.
Yeah. So does Veronica. You can walk in her studio and she's got a big giant drawer of them. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And then Linda wants to know, can floral foam be reused? I don't think so.
No, it cannot. Once it's been saturated, you can keep adding water to it to rehydrate it, but if it dries out, it cannot be resaturated. It just doesn't work very well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good stuff. We're going to move on to the next question from Jeanette. She says, what are your thoughts on Oasis Solution 360, where no cutting of the stems is necessary for processing?
We actually use that in our branch here. It's saved us a ton on labor. So what that product is a super hydrator, and it keeps bacteria levels very low. You can actually have dry packed flowers out of the box and just stick them right in the water. And I, as a florist, thought, what? That is not going to work. I was like, how can that even work? I was scared, I have to say, but it works great. And we use it here. There's a couple of flowers it doesn't work well with. I think it's Gerberas and sunflowers. And if you're in doubt, it doesn't hurt to recut the stems anyway and put it in that water. Is fantastic. It helps the flowers live longer. You can even reactivate it. The company sells tablets, so it's also eco-friendly. You can reuse that water, put the tablets in it, and it cleans the water, and it's reusable. The guy from the company told me that it was also safe to drink, but I don't think I'd want to do that. Because he said, because we here in Carlsbad, we're not able to, at our old location, we're not able to pour water down the drainage because it goes out into the ocean here through the system here. And he said it was perfectly safe to do that. So I'd have to research that a little bit more to be sure. But it's supposed to be very safe for the environment as well. And it does work well. And I love it. So, and I always tell my girls when they pick up, or my florists when they pick up here, if they use buckets from us, to keep the water in it and reuse it in their arrangements for processing, not to toss it out.
Yeah. Laura Kellogg says, what was that product? And we're talking about the Oasis 360 solution. Desi can find a link, and we can share the link for that solution.
I think it's also called DE Express is what we get it in huge drums, and there's machines that, by the way, one of our customers has an outdoor stand. You can attach it to your water unit. So it comes in small drums and big drums, and there's a system that goes with it. And what it does is it mixes with your actual water, and then you pour it out through the hose. So you have to mix it with water. It's just if you do use that. But one of my shops uses it.
Cool.
It saves a ton of labor.
Good stuff. And labor is time, and time is money.
That's right.
All right. Next question. And I'm not sure who this is from, so I'm sorry, guys. Chocolate Cosmos. Is it edible?
Well, as good as they smell, it's still not advisable to eat them. According to Gardener's World magazine, they have no measurable toxicity. However, most commercial flower farms use some form of pesticide during the production. So if it's not a USDA certified for human consumption, please don't eat them. Here I have actual chocolate cosmos and the Noel red cosmos, and these are coming out of Japan right now. Yeah, they're gorge. We do carry USDA certified organic edible flowers. For more information, you're going to have to contact your rep on that. I believe we have a minimum we have to bring in, so it's a little bit prohibitive, and they can be a little bit pricey, but they are available if you have a need for them.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah, so don't eat the flowers, even if they smell really good.
No.
And again, it ties into what we already talked about with the pesticides and stuff like that. All right. Good stuff. Our next question is from Kellie. She wants to know about the typical lifespan of Dusty Miller and how to keep it good looking in her bouquets and arrangements. She feels like hers get droopy quickly and it's very finicky. What do you guys have to offer for her, Kellie?
In Phoenix, we import our Dusty Miller from an Ecuadorian grower. Almost all year round production on this stuff. Here's a bunch just so you can see how big it is. So this has a really remarkably long vase life. It lasts up to a week or more. These are a variety that have been selected and hybridized so that they have the strong traits. And I think they last a lot longer than stuff that you might forage from your garden. In my experience, the lacier leaves tend to be a little bit more fragile than these roundier leaf varieties. I don't know if that's your experience too, Shelley. There's some things that we do when we're hydrating Dusty Miller that can help, and that's avoid some, let's see here. Sorry, I lost my place. Avoid submerging their stems too deep or dripping water onto their leaves. The fuzzy surface tends to hold moisture and can activate botrytis spores and cause bacteria to form in the water quickly. Using the recommended flower food and dosage on that, recut the stems and change the water frequently. That'll ensure that they stay hydrated and firmed up.
Yeah, I also like the Bellefleur, the Ecuadorian product as well. It holds up really well. It seems to be bred to be a little stronger. It is more expensive. It can be almost double the cost of local Dusty Miller, but it's worth it if you end up throwing out a lot of Dusty Miller. I sometimes think it's cut too early. That seems to be a lot of the problem with it. It doesn't have very strong leaves. Sometimes it comes in fresh and it's just wilty looking. So, but Dave's right. The fuzziness of it, the way that the leaf is, it can get all kinds of problems with spores and don't drip water on it. Like Dave said, that's probably one of the things that causes it to get. You notice the change of the color of the leaf. But recutting always, putting in warm water will always help perk things up. If it could be an issue of it not being hydrated enough or being out of water for too long, so you can try that. But ask your Mayesh rep about the premium Dusty Miller if you still have a lot of issues with it, especially if you're in a hot climate. That one seems to hold up very well.
Good stuff. And Winnie had a similar question about Dusty Miller, and she wanted to know how do you revive it and make sure it looks good the day of the wedding? Do you guys have any tips for Winnie and Kellie probably as well?
Yeah, so Dusty Miller has tiny little hairy filaments all over the stems and leaves, and these are called trichomes. They act as a deterrent for frost damage, insect attack, and they lessen the dehydration from the transpiration process. But those furry little coats can become the breeding ground for stem clogging bacteria, especially when they're submerged during the hydration process. So try gently scraping some of the fur off of the part of the stem that's going to be submerged is one tip. Hydrate them in a shallow level of fresh solution instead of a deep plunge. Recut your stems and replace the solution every day or two.
Yeah, and clean buckets. We can't say that enough. Make sure your buckets are clean, no bacteria. They seem to be more susceptible to that, so that's always a good tip. Wash your buckets out with chlorine once or twice a week if you can, at least once a week.
Good stuff. Good, thanks guys. Not that I want to mention another wholesale florist, but they just had a show and they had a designer there that said to spray the back of the leaf with matte white paint and it helps them keep from going limp. Never tried it, but we're going to. And if Bradley's here, I'd be curious to know if he's heard of something like that. So there you go. Thanks.
Okay.
Leroy French Flowers. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. Oh, and then David, hey David, he is watching, David Dawson from our Miami location, and he says bees love those hairs to make their hives.
Oh, cool.
He always has little known facts about our flowers and things, so that's very cool. Thanks, David. All right, guys, on to our next question from Linda. She says, how do you handle brides who say they have their own materials for their flowers, but they want you to design them? What do you guys do? And while Shelley's talking about this, I would love to know what you guys do who are watching, because I know this comes up every now and then.
I think as a florist, I got this question at least once a year from a bride. If I get my flowers wholesale, will you design them for me? If I bring my containers, will you arrange in them for me? You have to be very careful here and tread lightly, because you have to control your product yourself, and there's no telling what happened with the product before it gets to you. So if you decide to do this, you got to have a lot of rules and parameters in place. And also, I would be very careful about maybe posting that work that you do with whatever they bring in, because who knows what it will look like. It depends on what they're talking about. There may be a bride who has some sentimental, attachment to the roses in her garden, and she just wants you to incorporate it into something. That's fine. If you want to use they want you to use their containers, for example, make sure you preview and see those way ahead of time, and you approve them, that they're waterproof, that they're usable. You can have a bride who you think is talking about a container that's this big, and then she brings it in and it's this big. Can you see me? So, make sure that you approve everything, you go over it, you're not responsible, blah, 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 write it in your contract. I wouldn't do it personally, because there's just no way to control that. If you do that, though, and you use all of their product, and you're a smaller florist and you're trying to just get some experience, make sure you charge a substantial design fee. They can't think because they're getting the flowers wholesale that it's going to be cheaper for them. And what I mean by that is you have to value your time and your experience. If she wants to do it expensively, then she should do it herself, or get her friends to help her. If she's coming to you as a designer, then you should be charging your rate, your fees for everything, delivery, setup, the van, the gas. You have to itemize it all and then present her with a cost. And it may be that it's better for her just to have you do it yourself. And why isn't she having you do it? So you have to explain to them, and not shoot them down, but explain to them why it's important to have a professional handle the wedding from beginning to end. Ordering, the product better, the amounts to order, the color palette. She may bring you all this stuff and it's not the right amount. You're going to actually do double work trying to figure out what she has to what you can work with and do, and the numbers are not going to work for you. So I would avoid this. This is a DIY bride who's just trying to get out on the cheap usually, or friends. As if we were just talking about this last night in a class. As a florist, you always have all these friends who want to, have you do their wedding for them, and you still have to charge for your time. So that's my advice on that. I hope that you think about it and make sure that's something that you want to do for your business.
Good stuff. Yeah, we have, let's see, lots of people have some thoughts on here. Tracy says, containers maybe, flowers no way. Now we have incorporated something from Grandma's yard, which is cute. Yeah. Trista says, we have an exclusivity policy. We provide all stems. We do all flowers at our weddings. Also pre-approved all containers that they provide. So yeah.
Great, Trista. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I've told brides that want me to design with their own flowers based on the same reasons you said. I also have them bring in containers a month before the event. So yeah, it's good. Good stuff, Susan.
It's really important about the containers too, because you may quote them one price and that container is not going to work for what you quoted in your original budget. I would, if they actually are thinking that in the beginning and you're having that conversation with them, I would say, bring me in what you're thinking about and let's see if it's going to work with your budget, because even at that point, you are going to have to renegotiate with them on the price of the centerpiece if it's not the right container. So That's all stuff that it's just be preemptive in the beginning. Control your business from the beginning.
Yeah, good. I have like 1 more minute, so let me see if I can find a question. Texana. What rose still has the strongest scent? And I heard that the trend is smaller wedding bouquets because of the recent royal weddings. What do you guys have to say? Strongest scent rose and small wedding bouquets.
Vitality, it's a garden rose, and Patience, both of those have super high fragrance. A lot of standard roses don't have a lot of fragrance. That fragrance is bred out of roses. They have to lose something to get a longer shelf life on a flower, and a flower uses a lot of its carbs and fragrance. So the Vitality garden rose, which it's probably one of the strongest smelling. I don't know, Dave, if you have a favorite, but on standard roses, there's not any that have a super strong scent. There's some that are scented, but not super strong.
Yeah, I think my favorite fragrance-wise would be Patience. It's
Patience,
yeah.
But yeah, Vitality and Patience are both similar. Vitality doesn't always look really pretty in the package, but it opens up really gorgeous. And then on this question about the trend in smaller bridal bouquets, you will see that it's going to take about a year, because what happens is people have to get requests for that, and then photo shoots are done, and then all that stuff has to get published, and then it shows up a year later, and then brides start seeing it, and then that's when they go, oh, that's cool and beautiful, I think I want to do that. So it'll take a year or two to go through the whole system of how things get done. You might start having some brides come in who say they want that look, but that look was so small and tight, and it's still not for everyone, but you'll start seeing that trend where things will start shrinking back to not that compact ball we used to have, but a lot more controlled arrangements. But you'll see that trend. Everything kind of goes back out and back in on floral design.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, guys. I'm not going to kick you off because, we're at the end of the show. I don't have anything extra to add. And
your electricity didn't go off, and I didn't have any technical glitches. Yay!
I know! Yay! So that's a wrap on today's Mornings with Mayesh. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure you mark your calendars for April 2nd. We're going to be back with Alison and Ellis, and then April 16th, I will be back with Shelley and Dave. And I hope you guys can join us. Keep on sending in your floral questions. Thank you for joining us. I will see you guys soon. Have a rocking day. Bye, everyone. Thanks, David.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.